Welcome back to the seventh grade mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about surviving the winter. The winter months, the encroachment from autumn into fall, the march all the way into the cold weather seasons has an effect on everyone. And it affects people in different ways. It manifests in different ways such as anxiety, overeating, oversleeping, difficulty concentrating, also in the feeling of worthlessness or hopelessness. Some of you might have low energy. It stems from the fact that human beings are from the planet Earth, and we live on a planet that is tied to the moon and the sun. And we will always be affected by the moon and the sun until you gain the wisdom to rise above such influences. So it is the wintertime that brings about feelings of despair. And these feelings come about from watching the people around you and the flow of money in particular. If you notice that during the winter months, everything is focused on the inside. So any type of craftsman or service-based industry that's in the outdoors or focused on human movement abroad or outside for interstate movement, that will be compromised or lowered during the winter months because of weather conditions or this innate built-in sense that people want to cocoon themselves inside their homes and hibernate for the winter. So you have this tightening of pocketbooks and you have this tightening of the economy. And there are things that affect that, where you see the increase in the cost of heating and gas for homes. And so there's always this contraction of the economy, and you see the contraction of the economy trickle down to the everyday Joe. So
like a pending doom that you're afraid that, okay, I can't satisfy this need, or my heating costs are going up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just,
and your survival instincts kick in. And so
Yep.
People are really affected by this the closer you get to the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas in particular. But it stretches all the way until you get to Valentine's Day. But going back to Thanksgiving, that's when you see this sense of not fight or flight, but the term I'm thinking about more is more of something that's based on survival, because people see that, you know, the earth and all the trees and the shrubs and the flowers have died and gone. All the energy on the outside of the planet has gone inside, down into the surface, into the warmth of the volcanic areas of the earth, and it's staying there until springtime. And so when you have this tightening of resources, people start to get more desperate. You see a lot of desperate acts. Crime goes up because people are only reacting to what's happening. But if you are a person that's always reacting and not being proactive, then you will suffer in winter. And the behavioral conditions associated with this are what people would call this term seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. Now, as a kid, my concerns during the wintertime were, because I'm a child of the North, as is duct tape. And so as a child of the North,
yeah, we're used to all four seasons. We look forward to all four seasons.
The winter in full, the hardest. The crazy part is, like, when I went to Toronto, Canada in January once, it was not a problem. I easily adapted to that scenario, to that situation. Growing up in Nebraska, when you get some heavy ass snow and bone chilling ass cold. Now, as a kid, as I started to say, this was fun because
we look forward to it.
Yeah.
Sledding, kicking it, snowball fights.
Right.
We kicked it.
Right. Football in the snow. And so when you live in the city, and when the snow first falls and you look outside and you have the orange street lights shining on this untouched snow, it looks like you're on another planet, like you're on Mars or some weird other Star Wars looking planet or something like that.
Now the first time you look outside after the snow and it's dark and the whole place looks different. It looks clean.
Yeah.
Like I'm not talking about the streets. We ain't talking about looking at nobody's street. But when you look out the window, ain't no car driving down the street yet. It's just this blanket of snow, like 2-3 inches.
Even in your
It's just a
backyard, your
beautiful.
backyard looks
Yeah,
different.
exactly. You look out your backyard, that shit is like it's foreign to you. Like you're waiting for a deer to walk across that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Um, like I said, being from the Midwest, you get all 4 seasons. And we used to look forward to all 4 seasons for different reasons. We grew up having to rake leaves. Not so much you, but I had big trees in my yard. So we rake leaves. We would play football in the leaves. We would jump and be like stuntmen jumping the leaves. In the summertime, it was swimming and fishing. We would walk everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We walk all the way to Benson to Fontanelle, wherever.
Miles. No
Yeah,
problem.
springtime. The big thing about springtime was you got to see bugs you didn't normally see. Because we was fucking with animals. So when wintertime came around, whatever reason, we looked forward to all 4 seasons. And what I'm saying is that sometimes in our quest for adulthood, we abandon our youthful exuberance. You know what I'm saying? And so, we recognize bills and responsibility, but sometimes you got to recognize the fun in it. Like, especially if you got kids, take your kids sled. Like,
No.
it's so much fun.
Hold up. This is what you do. You have the kids get dressed up, get them hyped up, like, yeah, we going sledding. And then you take them out on the porch and you look for the biggest snowdrift and you just pick that kid up over your head and you just throw him.
And toss that motherfucker. Toss them over. Just toss that nigga. Like, to where they can't get out the motherfucker.
But see, nobody's getting hurt because the snow is so deep. He just lands in this big ass pillow of snow.
No, okay. There's a couple stories that you would understand about snowdrifts in driving. First things first, women think you can just drive through a snowdrift because it's snow and you got a metal car. You do not know what's inside that snowdrift. It could be a fire hydrant, a block of ice inside that snowdrift. So my old lady just driving through shit in my truck, like, oh, no, you don't do that shit. You don't know what's inside that motherfucker. That's camouflage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You fuck around and fuck some shit up. Or
it might be a concrete wall in that motherfucker.
Real talk. Y'all don't know, but the ice freezes because it might have snowed 3 or 4 times, and you got a fresh powder on this motherfucker, but the shit underneath it is frozen solid.
Yeah, you're not motherfucker. You're not driving through cotton candy. Don't get it twisted.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah, don't fall for it. I remember like you were saying, like you were in Canada. I remember being down in Nashville visiting my people, my lady. And like it snowed down there. So I'm walking outside of my truck without my shirt on, trying to get some shit out the truck. And all these people staring at me like I'm tripping. And I'm black too, because that's a white person thing. I'm like, dude, I just on my truck. I'm like, no, I just need something. You
looking like Abdullah the Butcher out there in the fucking snow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Abdullah's ribs. But so I'm out there and I'm like, y'all motherfuckers, it's not cold though. Okay. To me, 32, 28, that ain't cold.
That ain't cold.
I mean,
that ain't cold. And people listening to this be like, man, that's cold. No, it's not. It's not. It's not cold.
Like, so don't get me wrong. I'm not one of these people that's going to go jumping in. I ain't the Polar Bear Society. I'm not jumping in the Atlantic Ocean, because when you was in New York, you would see that shit. You're like, these motherfuckers jumping in the ocean. That's crazy.
But listen. Cold is when you see permafrost. That's cold. When you start seeing permafrost, that's
you can't drill the dirt. It's so cold that you couldn't. If you had like an oil well, you could not drill.
You can't bury. You can't bury the dead in the winter. It's cold. My dad used to talk about that. He was stationed in Maine in the military. He said it was so cold in Maine. He said the military drilled tunnels underneath the ground so they could just go from one part of the base to the other without having to go outside. And he said that, any of the soldiers that passed away or there any dead people locally, they couldn't be buried until springtime because the ground was frozen hard.
Look, what people don't understand is that, people dread the wintertime, but I don't. I still look forward to it. Now, I look forward to the challenge too, driving in the snow, or that's another thing. People think because you got front wheel. I love people that think front wheel drive is like this key to the bad weather.
Like it's a monster truck. Like you just press a button
Dude!
And your shit is a monster truck now. Dude, first of all, gravity is a motherfucker. So if you sliding, you're just going to keep on sliding. You're going to slide in a 4x4. You're going to slide in a sports car. You're going to slide in everything.
Until something affects it. So people don't get that shit. Like when you see people off in ditches, and sometimes it's kind of funny because you try to like, how the fuck they get there, nigga? That's miles away. I can't tell if they came from that side or this side. What the fuck was they doing?
Listen, there's like sometimes when I'm driving around and I'll go through a really nice neighborhood and I see this house on a huge hill, and I'm in a place that gets snow. I'm like, The motherfuckers didn't think that shit through. Right, they didn't think that bullshit through because in the wintertime, that's a death trap.
Look, you got to have good tires. But see, this is what makes people depressed is that they know that they're going to have this big expenditure. They know they're away from people. But let's talk about the scientific shit. The shit. My best friend growing up, his mom was into that shit. Was into the moon and stuff. And your mom used to break that shit down to us. And when I was a kid, I'm like, man, that's just some motherfucking bullshit. It's not. If you pay it, what people don't understand is the correlation between the earth and your physical body. The earth is 80% water, 90% water. Your body's 80%, 90% water. So if my homeboy who passed, daddy broke it down. He's like, man, so if the motherfucking moon affect the oceans, why wouldn't it affect the water in your body? And I'm like, that's stupid.
Boom.
Now I'm older.
Mind grenades. Nigga, he was dropping mind grenades, time release mind grenades in your dome. Depth charges.
I remember when your mom was breaking. You had told me later on, but your mom had broke this shit down talking about like motherfucking Reagan and shit and Nancy Reagan. How come Reagan never got in trouble? And then you broke this shit down later on. You like it's because Reagan never gave a message unless it was a way moon and this and this, and people wouldn't pay attention. And they call him Teflon Don. And you got to understand is that this moon has an effect on your physical body, and it sounds corny and silly, and that's some superstition, but that's scientific. If you are 80% water, and the place you live is 80% water, and you see that this moon, and
there
you
is
see
a synergistic effect.
There's an effect. Okay, let's not talk. Let's not talk on the whole spiritual shit. Let's just talk on the physical. So if there is a gravitational pull on the water in your body is yes, if it's being moved, then certain chemicals will be present. It's all that shit matters. So back to the original statement, when you're talking about the wintertime, you have people that I forgot what you said. They talk about that. I learned about that in high school.
Disorder.
Well, they would literally give people not radiation but light treatment. They would give them those big vitamin D light treatments, and they would sit there for hours in front of these lights just to get their vitamin D levels up, and then it would be closer to what it was in the summertime, because in the summertime you're out in the sun and you get more vitamin D. This whole oral taking vitamin D thing, like we discussed before, is kind of an iffy thing because you can take vitamin D orally, but vitamin D, you're like a solar cell. Your vitamin D comes from the sunlight. I remember my uncle raised dogs for years, and he kind of half-assed show dogs, but he was more doing field trials. Well, one of the things that would happen is that some of these people who had dogs that were city dogs or apartment dogs, literally their dog's coat would not look as good as his dog's. So yeah, my dogs live outside. My dogs get vitamin D, and then I give them vitamin D supplements. Back in the day, you put up an egg in their food
because that dog's wolf genes are active.
That dog gets vitamin D, real vitamin D.
Because that dog was a wolf 10,000 years ago.
And so what you must understand is that that's some real shit. We negate this shit. We're so happy to have a place to stay and a place to live and have shelter over our heads. And we're such recluses now. And so look, when you look at China, we always use China as an example for a lot of bad shit. They don't give a fuck about their people. They say they do, and we do business with them, but nobody really. We all know what China's like. But look at their. You want socialism? Look at their apartment complexes. They literally have like 100-story apartment complexes that go on for miles, and that's how these people live. So they're not getting vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is why this COVID shit is so bad. So you must understand that a lot of these diseases that we talked about that pellagra disease, which was a lack of protein, a lack of you get it from eggs and milk. It's simply a lack of that. When you're not getting the right shit, your body does fuck up, and there's diseases related to it. Well, but whenever you hear Dr. Sebi break this shit down, you're like, he's some kook. He's not. He's telling you that each one of these diseases is related to a particular part of your diet that you're not receiving. So when you realize what part of your diet is lacking, what you do is you empty the bullshit out. You fast. You poop all the shit out, and then you consume the proper food for a little while. Then you go back to normal. You go back to your original settings. So That's all this is. So in the wintertime, like I said, they started doing these studies on the light shit way back, like I said, in 80, 88, 93, and and so it's a real thing. So the winter blahs is a real thing. And now, is it because you're not getting enough light, or is that just one symptom, just one aspect? The pressure from paying bills, the pressure from family, looking forward to holidays, performing, that kind of stuff. So all that shit's an issue. Not having the right kind of car, not having snow tires. Look, I remember growing up, you had to have snow tires. What about that shit? What about having to have snow tires? Like, you got these all year radios.
No. What about having to put chains on your tires? Chains.
Hey, do you remember when my mom bought her first Mercedes? She bought a Mercedes, and that dude gave us 4 snow tires that had studs in them, and these were not little studs. These was like track shoe studs. I'm like, hey, cuz, come check this shit out. They were Pirellis, and I'm like, these motherfuckers, you could climb up the side of a building with these motherfuckers. This is some Spider-Man shit,
that shit was for driving on ice.
Ice, not in. So what you must understand is that there's all these different factors, but every season has them. It's just the fact that because of our youth, we look forward to the season. Now, I don't look forward to being cold, but shit, I put a coat on, my nigga. Stop trying to make.
But hold up. Whenever I go up north, I live in the South right now. Whenever I go up north, I always change my behavior a little bit. And what I'm saying is, when I visit New York City in January, when I visit New York City in the autumn or like early spring, I notice that I start walking faster. I start walking like the way I walked back home. I walk fast. And I started walking faster when I was in New York and New Jersey. And whenever I visit up north, like there's the cold makes you move faster. See, weather affects us. And in the South, everything tends to be a lot more slow and chiller because it's warmer. It's more mellow. But up north, you're moving around. You got to get it going. If you look at the difference between Europe and Africa, you can see why they developed the way they did based off of the climate. In Europe, they built all these castles to keep out invaders. They built, their stone architecture and the wood homes the way they did to keep the heat in. And in Africa, below the equator or near the equator, it's warm. And so your domicile is going to look different than it is in the place where it's cold, because food is resources are bountiful. You can find food
different needs
everywhere. The needs are different.
Much different needs.
And so it determines your disposition and your domicile and your behavior on a day-to-day basis.
Pause. Here's the issue. We know for a fact that they've always had structures in Africa. So that's something that they tell you, like, no, we've always had structures. We've always had castles. We always had pyramids. We always had that shit. But your needs are different because you're not trying to stay warm. You're trying to cool off. They even showed that one castle where they had indoor toilets in the 1600s. So, yeah. Your needs are different. So instead of trying to heat the whole place, you want that north wind to come through and cool. So yeah, don't think that the quality of living conditions is lower. It's not. It's
not lower. It's different. They have different needs, yes. And I'm illustrating that point to show that because the temperature is warmer, then you're not concerned with wearing the skins of animals on your body, and you're not concerned with keeping heat on the inside of your home. It's the opposite. You want to have a cool home. And so the doors to their homes tend to be either open or they have a cloth in the front. But whereas in Europe, they would have hard doors to keep people out, vermin out, and the cold out. So that's how you see how it affects architecture and human behavior. But in the South, for example, now we have the sun. Today it's going to be 50 in the mid 50s today. It's going to be warm today. Yesterday was a nice warm day. It's January, y'all. Now, back in the duct tape will tell you that in the night it'll get cold. It'll get pretty cold at nighttime. I mean, like once we get into January, February in particular, it gets down in the teens and below. Now,
Yeah,
the
it's 28
teens,
today. 28. It's
28 is
freezing.
the high.
Yeah, 28 is where it's right now. I think the high is going to be 30, and the low is going to be 20, like 26, some shit
Wow.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a 20-degree difference between where he is and where I am, and so that little bit of difference doesn't sound like much, but
Hey,
hold on.
how old were you when you first understood weather? When you realized like
Super
temperatures and
early,
shit?
super early.
Like,
But
yeah, do you remember? Do you remember? Hold up. Do you remember like watching and seeing that we were in Omaha, and I remember the temperature was 8, and then we looked. Like New York was like 31. I'm like, it's 8. We're single digits. That's embarrassing. It's like I
dude,
felt
there were
bad
plenty of times that we were colder than New York. We were cold. Listen,
all the
people
time.
don't believe me when I tell you. They're like, yeah, I'm from New York. It's cold. I'm like, y'all don't know what cold is. You think you
Nigga,
know.
please.
Like, you think you know. I live cold because we get that. You always look, if you always, look at the weather, you see North America at a tilt. And it's the Earth's tilt that is showing on the weather forecast. And you see this big ass Arctic blast. And where's this coming down to? Nebraska. We're just straight down to us. We just right in the middle of
It was the
that
stream.
jet
Remember,
stream,
the jet
scooping it
stream.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, cold ass Canadian.
The
That
jet
bruh, so
stream.
that's why when I would go to Canada, I was at home. It didn't bother me because I'm used to that. So no problem, whatever, carry on. So check it out. This is what I wanted to say. So today and yesterday, it's sunny. And there are times where I would just sit still and just absorb the light.
Absorb the sunshine.
I would just sit there. I'll be sitting in the car like in a parking lot, might be waiting on somebody. I'll just sit there and I'll just close my eyes and then get in the car. But like, you sleeping? I'm like, no, I'm absorbing this energy. I'm a sun worshiper. I'm absorbing this energy, man. I'm taking it in. I'm storing it in my melanin battery. So the crazy part is that as a child, I was able to appreciate the lack of the sun because of my wild imagination. So in Nebraska, in the Midwest in particular, Kansas and Colorado and Oklahoma, you'll have weeks where there's just this gray sheet, an endless sheet over the sky. I shit you not. It's a gray sheet that's just over the sky. It almost looks as if there's no clouds, as if there's just a sheet of just gray, like somebody took a big ass gray blanket and just pulled it over the sky, and the sun is just shining through it, is lighting it up. So there's still sunlight, but it's diffuse. And so because of that, as a child, you're used to watching the sky, looking up. So when there's no activity going on in the sky, your attention goes back down to the earth and you're looking at everything around you. So me, being an imaginative child, I'm turning like snow forts into places to play with my toys and, have snow wars at people. Winter wars were always super fun because here it is. You have free toys. You have
all
free
the kids
toys
on the block.
but you have free
it's
toys
all
though.
the kids on the block. At
Nature
one time doing
gives you
participate.
toys to play with, and you can create a fort. You have weapons you can throw at people. You can, like, even if you're a pacifist, you can lay in the snow and make angels. There's so many things. Go ahead.
Do you remember the first time we had like golf ball size hail?
Dude.
After that, we had a hail fight, and that shit hurt like fuck. But we were too stupid to know that this is like I probably had a concussion protocol.
Oh,
Didn't
everybody has
realize.
CTE. Everybody has CTE.
For sure. Here's a term that people in the South don't even understand. Wind chill. Like if you say wind chill, like, what's a wind chill? Okay, do you know what a heat index is? Well, yeah, heat index is what it feels like outside. So the actual temperature might be 98, but with the heat index is like 106, 107. Well, we have a thing in the Midwest and in up north called the wind chill. The wind chill, so it might be 17 degrees, but the wind chill is -8. So that's when that wind hits your ass. It's going to chill you, nigga. So those are the things that people in these different climates don't understand. So you have the heat index, because we have a heat index too, but we have the wind chill. So when you look at the wind chill, that's when you're like, oh fuck it, I ain't going outside. It'll peel the skin off your face, nigga. I ain't fucking with this shit.
So, but check this out. So your concerns as a child are different when it comes to the wintertime versus being an adult. And so as a little boy, my concerns were, man, I really want the GI Joe aircraft carrier for Christmas. Never happened. I want this toy. I want that. I want to go
No,
here.
no,
I want to
I
do
wanted the
this.
snowcat. Hold it. What about the snowcat? In fact, one of our homies had the bear. The bear was the snow machine, the
Hmm.
snowmobile. One of the homies had the snowmobile, so I had to go borrow that just so I could play in the snow.
Right.
Like rest in
Right.
peace, Scotty. But I was like, yeah.
Recipes.
So that's how we do that shit. Like everything was a playset to us.
For sure.
Everything was,
See,
and I
and
really
I was just talking
explore.
about. I was talking to somebody about that yesterday. I was I was working yesterday, and we were in this really nice neighborhood, and they had developed this property. It looked like it was about maybe 25 acres. It developed into this crazy area that had like a moat and a bridge. You drive over this moat to this all this stone like condos and stuff, right? And I'm looking around at the moat and I'm looking at the bridge and I'm like, as a kid, I would have flipped out over this shit. I would have brought my toys down there and I would
Hey,
have been in hog heaven.
nigga, I got you beat. Okay, do you remember the time my mom took us to see to the circus, and then we got back and we made like a fucking thing in the basement with all my mom's furniture. We built like
Yes.
X-wing fighters,
Yes.
and we built lava moats, and we
Yes.
like literally my mom came in the basement like, what the fuck? Like,
Yes.
I remember using the. I remember this is so bad. We made a spaceship, and I remember using the stools as machine guns and shit.
Yes.
And I remember building with the pillows. Like that's the shit we did. So I don't have. Look, I never had a bad childhood. I didn't know. I remember I had got to like high school or college, and I was filling out some paperwork. My mom said, "Hey, you're disadvantaged." Like, no, I'm not. She's like, "You have one parent, one income. You dumb motherfucker. We've been poor this whole time. You just didn't know it. You were just too stupid to know that we were poor." So I didn't know we was poor. But I knew how that I had a fucking great childhood. And I remember us going into the circus and we made a spaceship when we got back to the crib. I remember doing that
See,
shit.
but that,
Like
but
I remember
that's
that
but
that
see
was a
that's the paradise of childhood because your imagination is the greatest tool, the greatest ability that you have because it creates joy out of nothing, out of absolutely nothing. But as you get older, you become concentrated on more material things because
and you got
you
to buy a
become
specific
in the
thing for a
world.
specific task.
Hmm.
Yes, no.
And you have to
It's
participate in reality as adults. So what happens is
like
your needs and your focus shift to these material things, and you want to coexist with other people. You want to get a nice looking woman, and you want to get a good job, and you want to get that, ba, 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 and you want to provide. So what happens is that you get all of us get performance anxiety. Okay, it happens to
yeah,
everybody because we care about the people that we care about. And so therefore we want to give them something for Christmas. And so we'll work our ass off and we'll work two shifts in a row to make enough money to make the kids happy, to make your lady happy, to make your spouse happy, whatever. And you will kill yourself on some of these jobs just so you can be that provider, so you can make these things happen, and because you want to bring joy, because that joy that you had as a child, you want those children to have that same joy, or you want your woman to have the joy between the two of you as man and woman. But this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that as the seasons change and as you get lesser light, and especially up north, the low winter sun has an effect on you in the sense that you feel like that life is happening through a slit in a door or underneath a door or through a keyhole, and that light is just coming through this to give you a little bit for like it's dark when you wake up and then it's dark when you come home from work, and you're in artificial light the entire time. So what do? So we surround ourselves with things to keep us happy. And there's for creative people, that's a multitude of things. That can be music,
mm-hmm,
that can be
yeah,
cinema or television,
sure.
that can be
Art.
books, that can be vinyl records, that can be all types of things that keep you stimulated. And then, as adult our vices, we start getting vices. Some of us drink, some of us might want to take the edge off of work. And then some of us also might puff cannabis. So here's the thing. These things are being done to mitigate inflammation in the nervous system and in the brain because it's inflammation that creates depression and it lowers serotonin levels. So going back to what you were saying earlier about the science, duct tape, is that it's the serotonin that's tied to the vitamin D that we get from sunlight. Like we're like reverse of Zartan, okay? Zartan, he ran from the sun. We run to the sun. It is the vitamin D that's made on the surface of our skin that activates our melanin, that gives us soul, that makes us happy, that gives us swag, that gives us personality with sunlight, and it's tied to this neurochemical called serotonin. Now, serotonin can be stimulated. It can be stimulated by certain things we eat and we drink, but mostly by sunshine. And that's why when I would hear that song, Sunshine, Everybody Loves the Sunshine by Roy Ayers, I get that song 100%. That song is so deep. It's deep, man. But the thing is that with the serotonin levels,
Everybody loves the sunshine.
everybody loves the sunshine. So the thing is that with serotonin levels, you're doing things. You're like we're like a video game. We're playing on ourselves all the time without realizing. Like we're trying to get a high score, or we're trying to tweak this and beat the level boss or whatever who the boss is at the end level to make it to the next level. Internally, there's these wars that are happening internally to keep the balance, to keep the peace. There's GI Joe's fighting Cobra inside of us. So to keep your serotonin balanced and producing it, you're gonna do things. You'll eat comfort food. You will eat. You will eat some pizza, or you will eat some fried. Listen, I ain't talking about none of that GMO. I'm not talking about none of this healthy shit right now. I'm talking about food that you grew up on that makes you feel good. It might taste good, but it makes you feel good. Chili, pizza, ice cream, foods that give you pleasure. And so
That's what I call them, comfort food. I think that's how our diets got messed up. Is the fact that we actually eat stuff we like more than stuff we need to eat.
There it is.
And we don't recognize that the seasons have an effect on you, but also based on where, again, Dr. Sebi, he always talked about where were your people from. So if your people are from a warm climate, your body doesn't naturally have certain things, so you're not getting certain things, but you don't have the desire to eat certain foods. Now, fast forward to now. Our bodies are a supercomputer. Our digestive system is like a computer. So if you consume the wrong things, what do? You produce, your body begins to produce enzymes to break that shit down. You eat too much sugars, produce those enzymes. Now the problem with that is, since you have those enzymes in your stomach, you have a craving for sugar when you don't really. That's not what your body's calling for.
No,
it's the fact that you've produced those to
your
break
body
down
needs minerals.
Excess sugar.
Your body's asking
Yes.
for minerals.
Yes. But like I said, you have a taste for sugar. That should tell you that you don't need sugar. Now, sometimes you have a taste for salty food. Sometimes that when you have a taste for something, that is your body requesting a specific nutrient. But at the same time, when you consume shit you shouldn't, your body has to find a way to break it down. And so it creates these enzymes. And when those enzymes are in your stomach, sometimes they cause you to want shit you don't need. Back to the originally scheduled program. So what we're saying is that in the wintertime, people from northern climates or from northern areas will desire certain types of food. In fact, our whole development and everything we eat is based on food, storage. So a lot of these dishes, a lot of the stuff we eat is based on if you live in Northern Europe, not all of Europe, but if you're in Northern Europe, it's hard to find food and hard to store food. We're talking about a long time ago. So you have people eating a lot of milk stuff. Milk is a Northern European thing. Now, in Africa, they have milk too, but most of the time, remember, when they had cattle, they were drinking the blood of the cattle. They weren't always drinking the milk. They were drinking goat's milk. But the point I'm trying to make is when you make cheese, when you make all this different stuff from cottage cheese to whatever, that is a form of food storage. Storing food is a big part of our development as humans. So when you have these different areas in different food, it's not because they like different spices, is because they had to store food certain ways. Jerky was a big thing we always talked about when we were in grade school. Remember, dried meat, jerky, and all this other stuff. This is a way to save food. So either you took your food with you, as in you have live animals and you butchered them immediately and ate them, or you found a way to store food, store the fat, or you churn butter, or you did these different things. So you got to recognize that how that affects us now, and that, okay, you know what? I got a furnace, my nigga. So I don't need to worry about some of this shit. I got a refrigerator, so I can store healthy food now, and I don't have to, Now, another thing, I remember there's an article I read. Also, I saw something about a Native American man who talked about what they did for medicine in the wintertime. He said we would butcher a horse, eat the meat of the horse, and that would get you through the winter. He wasn't saying that he ate it. He's saying that he ate that little bit of protein from that horse, and it helped them as in medicine. Not that you should eat that every day. Same thing with we shouldn't be eating milk and cheese every day. We should be eating milk and cheese probably once or twice a month. We only should be consuming animal protein once or twice a year, kind of thing. And I think that we got away from that kind of stuff because we said it was the old ways. So when your elders explain shit to you, you're like, oh nah, I got money. And that was another thing that there's a book was that God Awakening Diet. That's something they broke down in that book, is that during the 40s and 50s, as the meat industry got bigger, they told us that animal protein was a better quality protein than plant protein. Because you gotta remember, the protein actually comes from plants. It's stored in the animal fat and the animal flesh, and then you eat it. So they told you that the protein you got from animals was better than the protein you got from vegetables. That ain't true. That's all a crock of horse shit. Protein is protein. It's the same thing. Hell, even these weightlifters, they eat whey protein.
Okay, but
it comes from plants.
Wait. Hang on a second. We got to back it up a little bit because animal protein has a higher concentration of minerals simply because it has its own innate minerals in its body. And then these animals that we're eating they're vegetarian. So they consume a lot of vegetable protein. So they have a dense amount of vegetable. Wait. They have a dense amount of minerals and vegetable protein in that. So the quality of that protein that you're getting from the animal is a higher quality. The reason being is that it's more nutrient dense because you have animal and plant together in that one constitution.
Yes. No, my only point was, look, in America, we eat herd animals. We eat chickens, we eat cows. We don't normally eat predators. Now, some places down south, they eat alligators and shit like that. But most of the places up here, we eat grazing animals because that's where the protein comes from. If you start eating dogs and some of this other stuff, you're not going to get as much protein because, again, like you said before, that animal.
Well,
you're not getting protein directly from the source, which is grass. Grass is where that protein comes from. It's based on that animal's diet. But back to what you said years ago is that the protein you get from eating an avocado is the same as protein you get from eating a chicken leg. It's not different. We're told that because that's a hustle to make you buy meat. Look. Well, here's the point we're trying to make.
Wait, hold on. I got to dispute that because that's not necessarily true. When you eat, wait. I don't have to look it up. That's something I don't have to look up. I can go off what my body tells me because, dude, my diet is very healthy. I eat a multitude of vegetables, but when I eat when I eat organ meats, it is more nutrient dense. As a matter of fact, you can taste the nutrient, you can taste the minerals when you eat a liver. When you eat a liver, dude, first of all, you're eating a processing plant for that animal. So that's the filtration point. The kidneys and the liver on any animal or mammal are the processing point for those creatures, which means that the minerals are passing through there. The ones that are going to be stored are the ones that's going to stay in that organ. So when you cook liver, dude, I grew up on liver pate, okay? And my dad was from the country, so he used to love to eat liver mush. So when you eat a liver or organ meats, it's always going to be more nutrient dense than most plants. Most plants, not all plants. Now you have exceptions to the rule. No. Wait. Hold on, man. Hold on. Let me submit my piece now. Now, you have exceptions to the rule. So spirulina is an example of an algae that is more nutrient dense than most meats are, with the exception of organ meats. There it is. That's what I want to say. There are exceptions to that rule.
No, I wasn't going there. I said protein. I didn't talk about all the minerals. When you eat organs, they got way more nutrients than just protein. They got everything in there because they're processing stuff. All I was simply saying is that the protein, not all the nutrients, but the same protein you get from meat is the same protein you get from eating plant. Okay, that's all I said.
One other thing. Now, hold on. Let me just squash this once and for all. You get better boners eating a meat-based diet than you do from a plant-based diet for one particular reason. There is an amino acid called arginine. Now, anybody listen to this who doubts this, go online and look up L-arginine. And it's going to show you the composition of arginine.
Hold it.
Hold on. Wait. From top to bottom, who has the highest concentration of arginine from the plants all the way to the protein to the animals. And you will see, pound for pound, what is the champion. And it is the meat of animals has
Watermelon.
more.
No.
Negative.
Watermelon rind.
Does
Watermelon
not
rind
have
has
more
than anything else.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
does
does.
not have more arginine.
Hey,
Not the
yes,
meat.
it does.
Not the meat.
Hey, watermelon rind. Look. Hey, one. I'm not. Hey, so that's why we fuck with each other. hey, look. Hey, the highest concentration of L-arginine. I can't say it right.
Arginine
is watermelon rind. They say it's watermelon rind. Now, check it out. You think I'm being a dick, but watermelon rind is supposed to have the highest concentration of naturally occurring, and it's 2 nutrients in there. That, in fact, most people don't realize the rind is better than the damn watermelon. Shit.
But how often does anybody eat the rind? Okay.
That's true. No, that's very true. That's another argument right there. That's true. But I didn't realize they had pickled watermelon rind. Like that was a thing, and that's. The reason I'm into it is because when my mom had a stroke, so I had to start looking at different stuff that will open up the capillaries. The L-arginine, it opens up the capillaries. So it opens up the smallest blood vessels and causes them to flow freely. So if you've had a stroke, it will actually help you recover from a stroke. So that's why I got into that shit, because I was reading it. So
basically, if you want to do some serious fucking, eat some watermelon.
Rind. No, the rind. The watermelon has it, but the rind has more, as a higher concentration.
Yeah, just eat it down to the rind. But maybe there's a
Where
correlation.
it actually affects you
maybe there's a correlation.
Minutes, yes. Oh, it is, because you know as well as I do, the blood for an erection comes from your feet and from your head. So you need that blood to flow freely from your brain to your Peter. That's what this is about.
Listen, I like chicken and watermelon. Okay, and I'm proud of that.
Hey, look, here, back to the original statement. We're talking about the fact that your body will crave different things in different climates, different
based on the weather and the amount of sunlight you're getting.
That you're getting or not getting. And the fact is this, that we need you to recognize that you're not a primal animal. That sometimes some things are primal, some things are animalistic, but sometimes it's the fact that you need to use discernment. And when your body craves something, is it craving it because it needs extra fat to store for later, or is it craving it because this is something that you want? So you need to recognize how many times a week you should be consuming this. That's one of the problems when you start making money. I made good money early on, and I got fat as fuck, my nigga. I went from 170 to I'm 270 now. It's because I was making good money and I couldn't tell myself no. I lacked the discipline to recognize, like, hey, that's a bad habit. I don't need that every week. But when you make money and you're lonely and you look for comfort,
you can buy your way out of shit. You just buying your way out of everything.
Yeah. And you look, cheesecake, you don't eat every day, my nigga. Cheesecake is something you eat 3 or 4 times a year. But when you got money, Cheesecake Factory, you take the bitches.
Cheesecake is not to be used as bread, okay, on top of like a hamburger patty. You don't use it like a hamburger bun.
My fat ass put butter on the cheesecake and put a steak between the motherfucker. I was doing bad shit. But like I said, when you can afford it, you think that you're saying something. You're not always saying something with your actions. You're actually is a detriment to yourself. But the real talk, like I said, when it's wintertime, your body calls for certain things. But don't forget the basics, that you need vitamin D. And since you can't get it from the sun, you might have to consume it other places. And don't forget that vitamin D is very important to your mental state.
So hang on. There's another way to look at this situation also. Tactically. In the winter, when you know that the winter is coming, you know that crime will be on the rise, do not have a kumbaya mentality towards people that are a potential threat to you. It's important that you make your family aware and the women in your family aware to be mindful of their surroundings in the wintertime, because crime happens at a higher rate in the wintertime because these people who have no control of themselves, who have no knowledge of self, are out here committing crimes and acting like animals. And so because of that, you have to behave accordingly and prepare yourself to prevent anything from happening that's going to put yourself or your family in jeopardy. So by this, I mean keeping your windows closed at nighttime, making sure all the doors and windows are locked, making sure if you have a security system that it's on and there's a battery in the backup, making sure that you have your weapons in the right place, making sure you can get to those weapons in a moment's notice. Home invasions happen at a higher rate in the wintertime. You need to protect yourself, so take precautions. Another thing is that women, what I recommend you do is that if you know that you're going to be going to your car or you're going to be getting off late, park closer to the entrance to work. Park closer to the building. Don't park far away from the building because you want to go and take some some sips from the flask on the parking deck on the third floor, way in the dark corner away from everything. Do not put yourself in a situation to be harmed. You want to do things that will make it harder for your attackers or anybody who wants to steal from you. Because around Christmas time, you see a whole rash of, people getting robbed or the cars being stolen. Make sure you're locking your cars. Don't leave anything visible in your car for anybody to break into, especially if you're going out. It's another thing. If you're going out in the wintertime, which we do in the North, you're going out to the club or you're going out to a comedy show, you're going to a movie. Don't leave anything in sight. Put everything in the trunk. Don't let anybody see what's in your car and allow them any way to break into your stuff. And then another thing, when you're leaving your house, or say you're going, if you got, vacation time you want to use, and you want to go on a trip to a warm location and get the hell out of this cold ass snow or, away from this place that's depressing the shit out of you, first of all, don't tell everybody on social media that you're going on vacation. Keep your mouth shut. All right? Because when you do that, all you do is set yourself up for a home invasion and people to break in and steal your stuff. When you get back and your flat screen TV that you done high capped about is gone. All that stuff is gone. All that wad of money that you use on Instagram flossing with is gone. So stop advertising so much. Okay? Go on vacation, keep your mouth shut, and show the pictures when you get back.
Look, your parents told you don't brag about certain stuff, and you don't get why. If you're going to post pictures of your vacation, post them after you came back. But this whole thing, look, I'm not famous, but these famous people are getting robbed. Check, there's articles on that shit. Everybody, a couple of LA rappers got robbed when it's somebody who's close to them.
No, there was a Brooklyn rapper living in LA in the hills. Pop Smoke got killed.
Yep. He was there kicking it, having a party. Then he goes to perform. While he's performing, gets robbed. I took a safe and shit. So that tells you that people are watching you. But he's famous and he can't protect himself. What can your little ass do? I get it. You went down to the Bahamas. You want to say you living a life. You took a cruise. Women, stop doing that shit. One of my homeboys, the chick he was dating, they robbed her whole crib. Another one of my homeboys, this is the one you always hear me talk about. I don't like go into depth because he knows who he is. Stole his entire house. He went with a moving company to visit his mom
with a moving truck.
Yes, moving truck. They backed the moving truck in, went in the garage. They actually put tape. They taped newspaper over the window so they couldn't see. Took the curtains down and took everything he had. Even took a freezer full of food. They took all the furniture. Now, again, like I said, it was an inside job. I'm sorry for that, but that lets you know that people are watching you, and you don't have to be rich and famous to have inappropriate admirers. People are jealous. People want what you got, even if you ain't got shit. They want what you got. Like I said, this is still more about the wintertime. We're trying to tell you that crimes like that go up in the wintertime. You see this shit all the time when people get their gifts stolen and they go on the news and people donate shit.
Yeah. But let's talk about money for a second. So keep in mind that it's July, August. Save some money up. Start saving money up way before winter gets here, because a lot of people lose their jobs around the holidays. A lot of people are laid off or they get fired before Christmas happens. So start putting money away in the summertime. Start saving your winter money in the summer, because even if it's $100 a month, just put that money away. Put $200 a month. Put that shit away. Because that way you will survive the winter. The rent will be paid. You will have your bills paid. And you can go out and look for another job and you're not stressing the hell out. On top of the seasonal stuff that's affecting you because you have no idea what's going on and you don't know how to deal with it. So you have all this compounded weight and stress on your psyche and you're just spinning out of control. This is how you prevent that. You have to be that little bird that's putting those seeds and those nuts away into the nest. Be that squirrel that's putting that stuff away so that you have something to chew on in the wintertime. You know, I understand you wanna live your best life and do it great, but your best life is you surviving. That's really your best life is survival because your best life is doing good at the worst time of your life. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, it is because you see, listen, everybody smiles when the weather is nice. Everybody smiles when times are good. But when times are rough and you're still smiling, that shows the true metal of your character. You have to
Look,
go ahead.
no, so what did Bruce Lee say? I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for the strength to endure a difficult one.
Mm.
It's like, look, you're an adult. You know what's coming. Now, sometimes shit catches you off guard. But another thing that Roscoe said that's real deep is that people get fired in the winter. I
I've seen a
remember
lot.
working for a Fortune 500 company. Yeah, and they literally fired people in December so they can get them off the ledger, so they can get them off the stuff for
You
tax
see?
time.
You see?
So November and December is when they actually fire folks. That sounds so shady. I know. It's a reality. It's because so then as they enter next year, they ain't got to pay those salaries. Drives up
They're
the
starting a
stock
new
price,
calendar
'cause that's
year and they're not thinking about
yes,
you as an individual. They're thinking about you as a line,
as a number,
as a
as a
line
number.
item on a tax ledger. That's how they see you.
And,
So,
and remember, many companies their fiscal year doesn't start to February. So don't be surprised if you got November, December, and January as a time to fire folks because um, in some companies their fiscal year doesn't start to February. So literally, you might make it to January, but they pay those bonuses in February. They get rid of your ass in January. They ain't got to pay you that bonus. Unfortunate. That's very unfortunate, but it's a reality. You're an adult. You deal with this shit. Recognize this shit. Um, don't get sucked into thinking that they care more about you than what they do. It's like any other relationship. You need to exactly know where you are in the relationship. And you need to exactly understand what's going on. And that's one of those things. The wintertime is a prime time for people to get fired, for people to want to tighten their purse strings, as you will. That's on a personal level and a professional level. So, like I said, all we're talking about is that we know the winter can be stressful, and we know that there's some things you can do to make it less stressful. But losing your job, it don't mean that you did nothing wrong. So don't
okay.
be depressed. Don't be worried about it. But be aware that could happen.
In the final stretch, I want to talk about the psyche of people who are affected by the lack of sunlight in the wintertime. And they may find themselves on antidepressants. Antidepressants such as SSRIs or SNRIs or MAOIs. These are serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. And these are meant to help you to bounce back from a depressed mental state. Now, these have really horrific side effects. These are the things that have caused people to go and shoot up shopping malls and movie theaters. So they're not
No, that's
always
real. That's real.
they're not always the best choice for you. And there's different ways you can deal with these things, but there are alternatives. And I want to talk about alternatives to taking these antidepressants. You should do things that modify your brain chemistry that will create neural pathways. For example, make it a mission to learn a new language or acquire a new skill every winter. The reason is that you're going to create new neural brain pathways, creating new brain cells actually, because you're forming new parts of your brain doing something that you've never done before. It's a challenge. I'm saying to challenge yourself in the wintertime, to be to expand intellectually because you'll be rewarded. There is a reward system that your body gives you in the form of endorphins. And so by creating these new neural pathways, by reaching that next plateau or climbing up to the next plateau in your mind intellectually, your body is rewarded with endorphins. And these endorphins help you to feel better. So it creates more serotonin. There's another path you can take towards creating more serotonin, and that is with THC. THC or CBD and THC together. These in low dosages can actually stimulate serotonin, as well as microdosing LSD, or psilocybin mushrooms. The benefit of these is that in a Harvard study, they found that it stimulates neuroplasticity, creating new neural pathways, creating new brain cells, making you smarter. It is a catalyst for a higher level of thinking or even increased lateral thinking. So you have different ways that you can go about this, but you have to explore these because SSRIs and these MAOIs are really dangerous and have horrible side effects. So I implore you to try different things in the wintertime and just challenge yourself. See if you can grow in a different way each year. Apply something new. I mean, pick up a violin and start playing that. Get yourself a beat machine and figure out how to use, an Akai MPC and make music. Do things that you always wanted to do. Now that we're on the tail end of quarantine and the coronavirus and all this nonsense, you've had all this time to sit around and learn new things. Keep at it. Don't just do it because you were in quarantine. Keep at it because this is who you are now. You're a person that challenged yourself to grow so that you can be a better version of yourself. And a better version of yourself is a happy version of yourself that is producing plenty of serotonin, regardless of if the sun is out in the wintertime or not. And so what these are tools to help you survive the winter. Another one, I mentioned the duct tape earlier, is that if you have a moment and you're just sitting in your car, and you're sitting in a parking lot, or maybe you're inside in your office and you're near a glass window and you're protected from the elements, and the sun comes out, just sit there and let the sun absorb you. This is what I want to say. Sit there and close your eyes, put your tongue to the roof of your mouth, swallow your saliva, and relax. Let your entire body relax from head to toe. All the muscles in your body relax with each breath that you take, and feel the sun on your face and allow it to fill the cells of your skin, penetrating down into your bone. And you will absorb this into you because you are consciously calling your cellular awareness to absorb that solar energy. And within moments, you will feel better. I shit you not, my hand to God, it works. These are things that will help you to bounce back. There are so many things that are free that you can do that you don't have to pay a therapist or a doctor or a personal trainer to do any of this. Exercising. That's another thing. Get your ass to the gym. If you can't get to the gym for whatever reason, then get yourself a kettlebell and work out in the house. Work out for 15 minutes and sweat. Get that heart rate elevated. Once you get a sweat going, your body is fighting back. Your body is fighting back, and you're like, motherfucker, I'm alive. I feel it. I feel it. Once you get that pump going and you can feel the circulation of the blood in the muscles and it starts moving, you will create more serotonin. You will create a increased sense of well-being. And you are pushing back against the darkness the same way that the sun chases out dark clouds. All right. That's the point of all this, is that we are on an organic, volcanic, sea water driven hamster wheel that is full of ant colonies. That's the earth. All right. And as it turns around and around on its axis, going around the sun, and the sun in the solar system goes around the greater galactic clock in God's eyeball, we are turning and spinning and growing and being affected by all these heavenly bodies around us. So we need the sun, but you got to have your inner sun, your inner earth. The sun inside your inner earth has to glow and be radiant all the time and ready to back you up and pull you out the mud when you're stuck in it. And that mud is the middle of winter. That's what I'm talking about. Get your ass through the middle of winter so you can get to the other side to springtime. Because once you get on the other side of springtime, baby, it's golden. Everything is alive. Everything comes back to the earth, and everybody's out and they're wearing less, and you want to go and get you some, and you want to get some fresh fruit and eat some good food, but you got to get there.
You made it through. Look, the biggest thing we're trying to get people to recognize is that they make antidepressants. They make all these different things. We get that. But sometimes the side effects are worse than the disease itself. And you hear that shit. I spoke to this older friend of mine, and his wife was taking antidepressants. She became violent and suicidal because of antidepressants. You got to watch that shit. We don't want you not to be healthy. We just want you to recognize that sometimes you can find a natural way to achieve the same thing without having these side effects. That's all. Look, the winter is only temporary. Like everything else in life is cyclical. So don't kill yourself over something that's temporary. That's all.
So you know what?
I look back.
A simple reminder of the cyclical nature of the lives that we live is look at a clock. Don't look at a digital clock. See if you can find like at work or go into a store and look at a regular ass clock and look at the shape of the clock. Normally it's round, and there's two hands on that clock, and they're going spinning in a revolution around and around 360 degrees in a circle. Well, that's the planet we live on. All right, and we have 365 days in the year, and there's parts of that year where shit is going to be great and it's going to be fantastic, and everybody's out jumping in the pool, swimming, they on the block blasting their system, they barbecuing and they eating watermelon, they getting boners, it's all good. But there's times where everything is tight and your ass is inside and everything is dead and there's nothing alive outside. Maybe some owls and some birds and some rabbits that like to run around and fuck in the snow, but everything else is dead. But know that just like the hands on the clock, yeah, it may be at 10 o'clock right now, but it's going to get past 12. It's going to come back around to 3, and it's going to be lunchtime. We all going to eat again. So just know that you will make it through winter, no matter what is going on, no matter how much shit your spouse is giving you, how much she is eating at your ass about how you got to pay for this and you got to get this done and we got to have this so we can go on vacation, blah, blah, blah. You're going to make it. You're going to be just fine. Why? Because you made it this far. And life is long. Remember that. Life is long. Okay? You weren't thinking that when you were younger, but now, you're thinking about all the shit you accomplished. Man, you have more to do and a lot more to go. And life is long. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So, look, man, there will be hardship. That's cool. But it's all about how you deal with hardship, how you deal with that stress. Because our ancestors brought us to this point not to be a bunch of fucking pussies, but to thrive and to flourish. And that's what you got to do. And that's what you will do. But you got to have the right mind to do it. All right? So, dark skies be damned. The sun will shine again. That's all I got to say. We out. Peace.
I look back.